Alright, let's go into it. So guys, these have been my two trades from last week. Very beautiful. I'm gonna guide you through the confirmations and everything. Here, a quick check. These have been the two trades taken on my personal account here on the screenshot, but I took this also on Finite accounts. And this is also the reason why I actually closed the trade right here and why I've been not holding it all the way till the top at this external liquidity, which was also some time-based liquidity, which was the Frankfurt session high, for instance, which was my initial target. But as you can see, I've been holding it for a little bit longer, and I'm going to explain you in this video specifically why. So first of all, guys, what you have to understand is based on my trading strategy and how I would like to operate every single time is actually I'm an intraday trader and I don't want to like hold a trade for several days or whatsoever. I want to actually open it up within a high volatility trading session like the London session or the New York session, and I would like to close it also inside of it if possible or later on. Like I can like hold from my London session till my New York session would be fine for me, but in this case I couldn't do this because we had high impact news, and at this day it was the unemployment claims. I'm usually a trader who likes to trade news, but not every single time. It depends if it's in the favor of the market direction. In this case, obviously it was not. This is exactly why the price dropped so much to the downside, and I was aware of this potential risk. And this is exactly why I tried to avoid that the price eventually will drop all the way down when the news event kicked in at 2:30. So let me just mark up that time. That was exactly here. And because I trade on multiple funded accounts where I'm restricted anyway, I also have consistency rules where I have to follow a 1% risk per trade rule. And in case of news events, that would be something which would absolutely destroy it, and I would lose my funded account even though I am in profit. So this is why I like to actually just close for safety reasons for myself. And yeah, anyway, if the market is like not changing completely during the news event, you can just follow your original trading idea again, or you can even switch up the bias. You have to be there a little bit flexible and understand what the market is about to tell you. So let me just break it down to you guys. These have been the two trades on the higher time frame, because most people see me only on the M1 and they think, hey, I am a lower time frame trader, and most people would like to hop on that. Most people prefer the lower time frame, which I totally understand because it gives you actually more opportunities and more flexibility in the market. That's why I'm using them as well. But very important, using lower time frame alone is way too weak. It's very manipulative, and if you are not experienced with it, it's gonna like actually, just destroy you at the end of the day. And I would highly recommend everyone to start with a higher time frame bias, to move on to the lower time frames, and then to have an idea right over there. So let me just use the backtesting tool to show you specifically what I've seen on Thursday and how I was actually trading it, because I've made on Instagram a poll. By the way, I'm very active on Instagram. Make sure to follow me over there. And I wanted to ask everyone about what they think about gold. That was actually at the beginning of the week. And most of the people have been super bearish on gold. Like everyone screamed, hey, this thing is gonna drop. And also by myself, I had the perspective that it's gonna drop lower. But what happened? Price moved all the way to the upside. So everyone was super confused. What nobody really understood in this case is that this was just a form of inducement on a higher time frame. The market went all the way up higher to rebalance here something at the top. Still, till this time and moment, I still have this as my POI where I would like to see gold coming very, very soon. And because of this case, that this was still valid, I wasn't sure if this is really going to happen or if the price will actually respect here this, right? Like here we have a form of internal liquidity, which is the previous day low in this case. And I was like, hey, maybe we grab that and move up higher. And then in the morning, like every day, I make my analysis and I share this to my inner circle where I explain them exactly my setup, my confirmations, and everything that I'm looking at to trade at that day. And I explain to them that based on the 4-hour, what I've seen is actually that we have here the B point right here, the imbalance point. And you will see then later on now, when I'm moving now to the hourly, that the price is actually already down there, because I'm not trading the Frankfurt session, I'm trading only after the London session. I've seen that the Frankfurt session already brought the price right down here, right? Plus here, we see some Asia low liquidity from Tuesday in this case. So you can call this double confirmation. So you have a form of time-based liquidity, you have a form of higher time frame liquidity, everything is fine. However, the market seems to be very bearish if we're honest, right? And price also formed a fair value gap on the bearish side right here. And when I've seen this, I told them, hey, I'm looking to buy, to be honest, because the POI is fine. So I'm not expecting from here like thousands of pips of movement, but I'm expecting from here still a decent amount of pips. And this is for me valid to trade, right? Although the trend might be bearish, I can still decide to trade short term the bullish narrative. That's exactly what I did. So on the M1, I actually exactly explained to them that if the price is gonna now close above this structure high, we will have a valid break-in structure. Very simple. We broke structure to the downside over here, which is in this case for me just a liquidity grab. And I've been waiting for the break of structure to the upside. Once that happened, I was confirmed, I was in, I've been protecting the low, and I like to double check everything with the 5 minutes to see if there is not something that can work against me whatsoever. And I've been entering over there. We can double check now here the entry price at what level and so on. That was kind of it. And stop loss below this market structure low over here. And I've been holding it, and to be honest, I've been holding it a little bit for like higher TPs, like originally was set up above the Frankfurt high or something. And I've been waiting, price moved, and to be honest, right over here, I've seen a fair value gap. And I was kind of expecting it that now from here, price will eventually come down into a correction or something, right? I wasn't sure if it's going to be the case or not. And because of this, I've been actually on a few other accounts I closed. Like for instance, my Apex accounts where I have trading drawdown. I've been closing those trades over there, but not on most of my other funded accounts. I've been just holding it in the hope, of course, that it's going to go up higher. And because of my strategy allowed me to actually remain in the trade because nothing was invalid or something. The only thing that changed was just the dynamic of the market, which is something people will never learn in a course. It's something you will only learn in a mentorship, because in a course, nobody can teach you the current price action and give you like a detailed explanation based on that. That's exactly what I do with my inner circle. If you want to check it out over there, you will also receive a step-by-step course with everything. Plus every day my forecast about gold. What it's going to do. We trade gold only. It's the best pair in the world. It's moving so fast. It's the number one asset. And of course, this is what we want to trade with liquidity. So I explained to them that this was the case. I've been holding, but I also shared with them that was about to close at the top over there. The thing what happens over here, right? Like most people will not really understand what just happened, because most of the people will be now probably switching from the current bullish situation to the bearish one, while the professional traders know exactly what the market was doing. And I made a video on this concept already here on my YouTube. You can check it out over there. By the way, guys, I'm gonna very, very soon do a free bootcamp on YouTube for you exclusively. So subscribe to my YouTube channel to not miss out on it, because I'm going to provide you there so much value like no other trading mentor has done so far. So over here, guys, the market accumulated, which was the very basic pattern of an accumulation. It's exactly what the market does from time to time. Otherwise, it can never expand. What it does is it's manipulating people in the wrong direction, not in the correct one. While it's successfully trading back to the upside, the manipulation phase was over, breaking structure, and we come now to the distribution phase. The distribution phase, which means we will see price moving higher and higher. I was aware of that, but unfortunately, I couldn't hold all my trades through this phase. And I closed even on my personal account just because of safety reasons. I made profits at that day. It was already cool. And I mean, it was not crazy, but at the end, it was still like over 1 hour in profit. And for me, this is relatively good profits. and I closed right before the news event kicked in. I was in profit, everything was fine, and I was just waiting for the next opportunity. And what I've seen on during the news event was actually nothing too crazy, to be honest. I was expecting a little bit more, like some form of strong move up, strong move down whatsoever. What price did was just a small pullback and then a bullish reaction. And now something very interesting happens. The price tapped to the left into some form of trap zone. This is what we call zones, which are not supposed to work. Zones where people think that the market is now gonna reverse, right? Like in this case here, you can clearly see break in structure and so on. Most of the famous traders call this SMT, something like this, like smart money trap zones. Whatsoever, I really don't care. I try to simplify everything. My strategy is not about all of these fancy terms. My strategy is all about simplicity and high win rate, right? High win rate, not the craziest RR. If I can catch a 1 to 3, I'm fine. But usually I only take a 1 to 2 because this is for me more than profitable. If you understand the stats, if you understand risk management, if you know how to control your emotional part of your mind during trading, you will be unbeatable, right? Most people can't fix their basics. They just try to go down the rabbit hole to figure out if there might be something better than what they know already, and they will not find it. They will struggle. They will try to always find an excuse for risking more on this trade and so on. They don't understand how to use dynamic risk management. They don't know how to use most of the things. If you master the basics and if you have a good strategy, good proper education, you will be unbeatable even with a low risk reward like I wanted to. That's exactly what I trade. And basically when I've seen this, I just entered right into this situation, and I didn't have like the best entry from the beginning. I also had one like right at the top over here because I knew it's a trap zone, and for me that is not an issue if I'm a little bit in a drawdown. I was not opening up my full potential of position right over there. I just opened up a part of it because I didn't know if the price will now from here just move on like this or if the inducement will take place. Although, if I would have paid more attention to the price action, I would be aware of. However, I also make my mistakes. I also sometimes can't see the easiest thing on the charts, and I'm also by myself getting better day by day. In reality, there was such a fresh, untapped fair value gap, which was actually the point for price to make this pullback and then to see from here the continuation higher. Once that happened, and I've seen it again, I added up the rest of my position right over here with the TP set up above the high. But here the coolest part of the entire thing happens, because most of the people will now try to catch the moon, right? Every single time. They're not happy with 1 to 2, they're not happy with 1 to 3, they're not happy with 1 to 5 whatsoever. The thing is, what I've learned in my process of a trader, and I'm doing this thing right now for over 6 years, is that if you have greed in the market, you're actually always gonna fail. So what am I doing in cases like this? How do I avoid that the price eventually will completely, take all my profits away? Well, basically, I try to sell or to close my profits when the market is in a high interest POI, such as, in this case, time-based liquidity. And I try to verify those POIs if there is still something to the left on the lower time frame, and if the setup is matching with my risk reward and also with the current structure. In this case, there would have been a reason, of course, that, hey, maybe price now is going to reverse. The most stupid thing that people do is once the price is like, in this case, reversing, right? Breaking structure, fair value gap also on the bearish side, they close, right? Or they even switch bias. This is what I've learned in most of the cases, the worst thing you can do, because the market will not shift always like instantly. There needs to be a higher time frame shift in structure and not just the M1. I've mastered the M1 because I've seen the charts on the M1 time frame for 6 years. I trade the M1 since 6 years. And I've also traded on a seconds. And I know that on the lower time frame, you need a more bigger move, right? Like if you see some tiny move, like you see it right now here, most of the cases will not work out. You need probably something like this. But also here, if you don't have a higher time frame which is supporting it, which in this case you didn't, it's not gonna reverse. It's just gonna be an inducement. So you gotta understand specifically this one thing. And this is why I was not intimidated by this move down. And what I was doing is actually just holding it. Once I came into this level, all I did is I closed, right? Although my expectation based on the higher time frame was that, hey, it's gonna eventually move higher. I ignored that because you need a mechanical approach to the exits, because especially there, most of the traders also try to hope for more. In the execution process, the same kind of thing. Like also there, people try to like get into the trade as early as possible, and that is usually not the best entry. It's better for them to have more patience. With the exit, it's exactly the opposite. And the people think exactly in a different way in both situations, and all the other ones who do it differently will have a benefit because they understood the game. I closed. What happened? Price, out of a sudden, starts to melt down, right? Also here you see, it takes a while. It's not moving instantly down lower. It takes a while. Once that happens, as you can see, it's melting down like crazy. Would have been a beautiful short setup. By the way, I was not in this trade involved because I was done for the day. Discipline beats greed. If I would try to also trade this and more, like I shared to my inner circle, hey, we had a Zoom call right after this and we discussed the trades. And I told him, hey, for me, it still looks bullish, but I'm not going to trade that because for me, I'm done for the day. And I don't know if the quality is really the best right now. And I'm not going to try to like beat the market now to find 3 profitable setups. For me, if I can catch 1 a day, it's enough, right? Catching 2 or 3 is going to like lead for your brain to overthink most of the things. And probably you won't think rational anymore, not analytic anymore. You will think just with your emotions and greed. So guys, if you like this, check out the link down below to join our mentorship. Otherwise, see you here on YouTube with a new video. Bye bye.